The summer I turned 10, the old house on the hill breathed with a patient rhythm. It carried the smell of rain-soaked lilac and the rumour of tides I hadn't seen in years, as if the walls kept a careful diary and never forgot a word. I learned to listen for the quiet in ordinary things, the creak of the staircase, the clock that paused at 3, the way the windowpanes held their own pale glow long after dusk. The house was a stubborn animal with a long memory. And I learned to speak to it softly, so as not to wake its thoughts too firmly. Our summers there began with the same small rituals. Bread crusts saved for the old cat that never quite appeared, a kettle that hissed as if it were confessing something, and a circle of stones I found in the garden when the world seemed more generous than it would later prove to be. It was Mara who found the circle first, tucked behind the rosemary hedge where the earth grew coarse and bright with crushed shells. Mara, with skin like sunlit linen, and a voice that could turn a rumour into a thread of gold, tied the tale of Nell to the town's forgotten pockets. The girl who vanished after a storm, who walked toward the marsh and did not walk back. The circle was plain at first glance, a ring of small river stones set edge to edge, as if the earth herself had cut her palm and pressed the stones back into place. In the centre lay a brass bell, gleaming with a dull certainty, and a brittle sheet of paper, the colour of old milk, corners inked with a handwriting I misread as older than breath. Mara, fearless in the way only a child can be, claimed we could coax the past back into the present if we spoke the line written in the margins. A line I now see was less a line than a trap. For the voice to return, Mara read aloud, with a grin that betrayed nothing of what she feared or wanted to fear. A line I did not yet understand. Name the name that never was. We rehearsed it as a joke, a game to pass the long afternoons of summer, when the light drifted through the kitchen like pale honey. We did not know what the words would do, only that something in the house watched us, while we pretended to understand the world's language. The name we spoke was not a name so much as a possibility, the name of a thing that could have existed, but did not. When Mara spoke Nell's name, the air in the room seemed to tighten, as if the carpet had learned to hold its breath. The kettle hissed with a sour note. The bells of a distant church rang once, twice, and I felt the pool of the day's warmth stirring, as though something beneath the floorboards was waking. It wasn't loud or violent, but the way the room changed, shadows stretching longer and slower than before, the stair carpet lifting its velvet, the way the hallway lights flickered, as if blinking away memories, made March air feel suddenly old, as if it remembered me when I could not yet remember myself. Nell did not appear in the form of a friend stepping from the shadows. She came as a memory wearing the shape of Mara's voice, a soft, breathy echo that paused in the doorway and lingered at the edge of the room, as if deciding whether to stay or to vanish again. She wore the old dress that Mara swore was a neighbour's. The hem touched the floor and did not, a paradox of being both there and not. She looked at me with eyes that were not mine to see and did not speak, because words were not what the house desired then. The house wanted to listen, to store, to keep a moment pressed between its bricks as you would press a moth into a book to read it later. We learned quickly that the ritual did more than recall. It drew a line of time a little thinner, allowing edges to touch and then fray. The shadows in the hallway began to move of their own accord, not with the wind, but with memory, and the night carried a soft chord of something long asleep waking in its chest. The old cat never truly appeared, but its scent drifted through the kitchen at dusk, and a cold draught would pass through Mara's hair as if someone, a someone not visible, stood just beyond the lamp's glow, counting the beats of our hearts. It ended badly, I suppose, in the way summers end when children forget to count the days and begin to count the years instead. Mara did not vanish that summer, not in the way Nell had vanished from the town. But something in the circle, something in the bell, something in the careful language of the margins, invited Nell to step closer to the living world, and then asked her to stay. Nell's presence became a thread we tugged, thinking we could guide it, thinking we could tell it to leave when the first night of September came with its chill and its ledger of endings. We learned to tell it to go away, to tell it to be quiet, to tell it to be a memory again. But memory does not disappear at a child's word or a grandmother's sigh. Years passed with the quiet, cruel patience of water under a bridge that never dries. The house aged with me, or perhaps I aged with it, the manner in which time softens and dulls the bright edges of a summer's illusion. I kept Mara's drawings in a drawer of the cedar chest downstairs, and I kept the circle's chalk lines smeared with the dust of years, though I did not know why I kept them, only that to forget the circle felt like surrendering a part of the world to a weather that did not care for our weathered learnedness. The attic smelled of old paper and rainwater, and something almost holy, an aroma that promised a truth it would not release. The bells, those small, stubborn bells, slept within their chest, as if they were waiting for a signal to begin again. Now, in the quiet of my evening years, I return more often to the attic, letting the light fall in thin wedges across the trunk and its secrets. The trunk has not changed at all, or rather, it has aged the way a story may age, without changing its plot. A little heavier, a little more velvet, the corner of the lid snagging on a nail with a sigh that sounds almost tired. I dare not open the parchment-drawn circle without a tremor in my hands. Yet there is a compulsion I cannot name, a patience in the house that demands I continue listening, as if the walls themselves had grown older with me and learned the weight of a life's regrets. A few months ago, I found the letters at last. They lay tucked inside Mara's drawed diary, which I had not touched since I was a boy, as if the diary had waited for the day I could bear reading its handwriting again. The letters were not from Nell. They were from Mara, written in Mara's exact handwriting, the kind of neat script that could be mistaken for a child's splayed with fear, but was actually a careful act of memory. They spoke in a voice that was older than the girl I knew and younger than the man I am. A voice that sounds like the moment you realize you have carried a burden for so long